Okay, joining us now, Washington Times opinion editor Charlie Hurd. Charlie, it's a pleasure having you on. Okay,
Great
Charlie, it's good to see you. Happening this hour, former President Trump, he is now wheels up. Trump just left East Palestine. He literally delivered truckloads of supplies and bottles of water. What do you make of Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg now finally going to East Palestine tomorrow? Charlie, did he get a phone call from the White House saying you got to go because Trump went?
I think he must have, because there was nothing else that seemed to move the dial with this guy about actually caring about the people of East Palestine. And, you know, the dichotomy the last couple of days where after Trump announced that he was going to go to East Palestine, and then you have the president of the United States over in Ukraine handing out hundreds of billions of dollars to people over there, while people in Ohio are having, coughing up blood and drinking diseased water. It was just extraordinary. So I guess at some point the administration woke up and realized that they had a problem on their hands and are going to finally send little Petey out there to survey the damage.
Because he's coming, it's taking hits to the middle-class Joe brand. He's not middle-class Joe anymore. He's entitled-class Joe.
Well,
Given how the family... Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I would argue he's never been middle-class Joe. That's been a farce from the beginning. This is a guy who, hails from Delaware his entire time in the United States Senate. He was actually the senator for credit card companies. He's never been middle-class Joe. He calls himself middle-class Joe and claims that other people used to always call him lunch bucket Joe and middle-class Joe. I've never found anyone who actually called him lunch bucket Joe or middle-class Joe. The only thing that he can kind of claim, put some claim to, that is that people call him Amtrak Joe. Well, that's true. He does spend a lot of time riding the Acela, the super America's version of the super train between Washington and Delaware. But he's not a middle class guy. He's always been he's credit card Joe.
Okay, we got some new names for him. Charlie, we want your reaction to this. Let's please look at this. Pete Buttigieg, he went on ABC. He called Trump's visit a photo op, but now Buttigieg is going. Let's please watch that. You're going to hear Buttigieg claim there were many disasters on his watch as mayor in South Bend, Indiana. We could only find 2. And then you're going to see him again downplay East Palestine. Watch this. Watch this.
Well, I am planning to go, and our folks were on the ground from the first hours. I do want to stress that the NTSB needs to be able to do its work independently. I was mayor of my hometown for 8 years. We dealt with a lot of disasters, natural and human. And one of the things I noticed very quickly is that there's 2 kinds of people who show up when you have that kind of disaster experience. People who are there because they have a specific job to do and are there to get something done, and people who are there to look good and have their picture taken. We have been on the ground literally from day one to make sure that we're doing our part to support. I do think that it's important to speak out about that, and I could have spoken out sooner. Look, rail safety is something that has evolved a lot over the years, but there's clearly more that needs to be done, because while this horrible situation has gotten a particularly high amount of attention, there are roughly 1,000 cases a year of a train derailing.
There are not 1,000 cases a year of toxic chemical train loads derailing. By the way, is he saying he would influence and skew the NTSB work in East Palestine if he went?
Exactly.
What is he talking about?
Yeah, exactly. And it's such a great point. Exactly. He's suggesting that the reason that he can't, or he said the reason he couldn't go is because he wouldn't want to influence. It's absolutely, he's so terrible at this. While we're coming up with new names, maybe Major Disaster Pete would be a good new name. And the idea that he's going to dismiss this as there are 1,000 derailments a year. Well, as you point out, there aren't 1,000 mushroom clouds every year. And let's not forget, they also, this fire where they lit this vinyl chloride on fire in a ditch along the railroad was an intentional fire. This was the best case scenario to these geniuses. Yeah. And then for him to sort of dismiss all of it as being, oh, this is just what always happens, and oh, by the way, I've overseen lots of other disasters.
He had 2. Wait a minute. He had 2 cases of flooding. Yeah. 2 cases of flooding in 2016 and again in 2018. That's in the nearly 10 years he was mayor of South Bend. Charlie, middle-class America, working class, they're falling further behind under this White House. They rammed in the equivalent of France, Germany, Germany, and Spain combined in spending in terms of their GDP, but then ignited in a locked-up system, white-hot inflation. And now, they talk about green jobs, installing solar panels, go code, go learn software code. They like to talk elitist things, racism in construction that nobody sees. He blamed the need. So you see this, right? And so what is going to happen when Buttigieg goes to East Palestine tomorrow?
Well, he doesn't have a case to make to them. But it would be nice if he went and assumed some responsibility for this. Under this administration, Americans have never been poorer in a lifetime. They have never had to deal with gas prices like this administration has installed. And then not to mention the fact that these people spent $1 trillion on supposed infrastructure, which was actually a Green New Deal. They didn't fix the rails. And maybe if they'd spent some money fixing the rails, we wouldn't have the situation we have in East Palestine.
Got it. Charlie Hurt, thanks for joining us. It's good to see you.